So now, in fact, this was a really easy example, and it was smooth. But most examples, for most examples, the Julia set is not at all smooth. For example, here you have the Fatou set in white and the Julia set in black of this quadratic complex map. This is called the Dwadi-Rabbit, and as you can see, you have an infinity of components inside of connected components inside the Fatou set, an infinity of Fatou components, and you have a fractal curve here. In some sense, it looks like a rabbit in some name. This is the Julia set. Okay. And to describe this picture, we are going to ask ourselves the natural question: what can you say about the dynamics on the Fatou set? Is it always simple in some sense? As you can see here, if you take any point inside the unit disk, it converges to 0. If you take any point outside, it diverges to infinity. And the Julia set is simply the unit disk. So is it always so simple? A good notion to answer this question is that of Fatou component. As I already told you, a Fatou component is a connected component of the Fatou set. And we will say that it is periodic if it is sent on itself by the dynamics. For example, here you have a Fatou component of period 3. We will say that it is pre-periodic if it is sent into a periodic Fatou component in a finite time. And if it's not the case, if it's not pre-periodic, we will say that this Fatou component is wandering. So the picture would be something like that. And you never have a cycle inside this sequence. Never goes back to itself. Okay, so what happens in one complex variable? We are going to give a quick answer. Is the dynamics always simple? But in fact, it is true. Why? We have this fundamental result, which goes back to Sullivan in the 80s, and which says that if you take any rational map from the Riemann sphere of degree at least 2, then any Fatou component of F is pre-periodic. Something like this. And why is this theorem so important? Because we now classify the periodic Fatou components. It can always be just a basin of an attractive periodic point. Sorry. The basin of a parabolic periodic point or a rotation domain. So the dynamics always look like something like this. This is the attracting case, this is the parabolic case, this is the rotational case. And this gives us a complete description of the dynamics on the Fatou set. Because any Fatou component lands in a finite time onto a periodic component, which can be only of one of these three types. So, if going back to this example, the Dwadi-Rabbit, here, so here you have the basin of the infinity, which is an attractive fixed point. And here you have a cycle, an attractive cycle of order 3. And if you take any other Fatou component, for example this one, you see that it's sent into the cycle in one time. This one will be sent in 2 times here, and so on. Okay, so in fact this figure on the Fatou set, we can describe it. We understand it.
There is only one attractor in this example?
you have the infinity, and you have you have a fixed
one periodic limit.
you have a fixed the infinity, which is a fixed point, and you have the here you have an attracting period of period-free cycle, and all other periodic points are on the Julia set and are repulsive. But there is an infinity of them.
There is no other periodic attractor.
No. Okay, so natural question is this theorem, which gives so many interesting results, all still true in other contexts? And the answer is no, because it's easy to see that if you remove just one of the assumptions, the results doesn't hold true anymore. For example, take this time C and transcendental, not rational. The answer is no, because since Baker, we know that you can take, for example, this map, z minus sin z plus 2p, and you get a Fatou set which has a wandering Fatou component. Here, you see in black color, you have a Fatou component which has hexagonal form, hexagonal shape, which is sent here, and then here, and then here, and so on, and it goes to infinity, it never comes back to itself. It is wandering. And in this talk, I want to discuss the case of two complex variables, with rational dynamics, polynomial dynamics. Is this theorem still true? What about the two-dimensional case? So first, let me recall that you have other examples. The case of transcendental barriomorphism has been handled by Fornes-Sigoni, and the case of holomorphic endomorphism of P2 by Astor, Buve, Dujardin, Peters, and Ricci. So, but in this talk, the class of maps which is going to interest us will be that one. You will say that F is a polynomial automorphism of C2 if F is a bijection and if both F and its inverse have polynomial components. For example, this map FZW equals Z squared minus W, comma Z, it is what you call a quadratic complex enum. Okay, and here is our theorem, Ufkern. I decided to cut into two parts, so let's talk first about the first part. And this theorem, what does it tell you? In fact, the theorem of Sullivan is not true anymore in two complex variables. So, more precisely, if you take any small real number b, non-zero, you can show that there exists a locally dense set of parameters pi in R5 for which the following polynomial automorphism, okay, so z power 6 plus this sum minus w, comma bz. So if I take back, it's exactly the same form as this, but it's not a polynomial of degree 2 here, but of degree 6. Okay. This polynomial here has a wandering Fatou component. And what can we say? This Fatou component has a real trace. It intersects R2. Moreover, the dynamics inside the component is contracting, meaning that if you take any compact subset of the component, and if you iterate, the diameter tends to 0. And if you take any point inside the component, its orbit accumulates a rule of Choux. In particular, it accumulates an infinite set. Okay? And this is this fact that I want to describe from now. So I'm going to take a statistical point of view.
Sorry, the parameters are dense in which set? Is it locally dense? They are small?
Yeah, you have 5 parameters here, okay, which vary in R5, and you can find an open set of parameters for which in a dozen subset of R5, you have one derivative.
It's a neighborhood of the origin? Or not?
Sorry?
It's a neighborhood of the origin, this open set in R5?
R5, yes.
But it's small parameters. I mean,
It's not R5, the whole R5. It's an open set.
Not necessarily.
Okay. So let me give you first a small definition. We want to describe the orbits from a statistical point of view. Okay. So if you take a compact set X and a map phi, which is continuous, you just take the orbit of some point X, phi square X, and so on. You will say that you have a historical behavior if the following sequence of empirical measures diverges for the Wick star topology. So the empirical measure of order n is just the mean of the n first iterates of the Dirac on phi is x. Okay? And you have this conjecture of Tekens who asks that is it possible to find classes of maps of dynamical systems for which the set of initial values x, which have an orbit with hysterical behavior, has a positive measure in a robust way. So is it, to reformulate the question, is it possible to find many dynamical systems for which you have many initial values with a hysterical behavior? And let me recall you that, remind you, that historical behavior is just when the sequence of empirical measures diverges. Okay? So, still in our theorem, we show that it is indeed true in the context of polynomial automorphism, because if you take any point z inside the component, and if you look at its sequence of empirical measures, it diverges. And moreover, we precise this fact by showing that if you consider this sequence of empirical measures, and if you look at all its accumulation points, you get a subset of measures. And if you take the Wasserstein distance on the set of measures, if you look at the set of accumulation points, if you look at its covering number at scale eta, you have this equation, which means that in fact the covering number of the set of accumulation points of our sequence of empirical measures associated to the orbit of any point inside the component, in fact this covering number is a stretch exponential. What does it mean? It means that the statistical behavior of the orbit of any point inside the component is very difficult to describe. It accumulates a huge set of measures. Okay? So it tells you that in this case, the behavior of the orbit inside the Fatou set is very described to difficult, contrarily to what happened. Why are you laughing? Contrary to what happens, you will be punished. Contrary to what happens in the one-dimensional setting. Okay, and it gives you an answer to Tekens' last problem in the smooth and the real analytic cases. The finitely smooth case was already proved by Chiriqui and so on. Yes.
If you look at this of the set of invariant measures supported by your horseshoe, is it the same set?
we prove in fact that you can accumulate any measure accumulated by some of.
And the set of measures of the Mosul has this property.
Yes.
Okay.
So it remains only 5 minutes, I think. But let me give you a small glimpse of the proof. I'm going to use many nice pictures by Pierre. So let me thank him. To simplify the proof, in some sense, it is just a smart variation of the following result, which dates from Birkhoff. You are going to take, so this is an independent result, okay? But it's useful to understand the proof, okay? If you take any diffeomorphism, which displays the quadratic homoclinic tendency associated to a dissipative saddle periodic point. So let me just recall what it means. Okay, this one? I need this one. Okay. I'm very good. So, if you take a diffeomorphism, and if this diffeomorphism has a periodic point, let's say P, which is a saddle point, let's say we are in R2 or C2, okay? It has a contracting eigenvalue and a dissipative eigenvalue. Very easy, very basic hyperbolic theory tells you that you have two manifolds, a stable manifold formed by points which will converge to this point in the future, and an unstable manifold which is formed by points which will converge to this point in the past. And this is a saddle point. It is dissipative if the product of the two eigenvalues is smaller than 1 in modulus. And homoclinic tangency is just a point of tangency between these two manifolds. Okay? So this is a point of homoclinic tangency. And the following, and the result of Birkhoff tells you that when you have this configuration, it is always possible to perturb it in such a way to get a diffeomorphism which has a sink. This is a periodic point which is dissipative. So let me give you a small picture. So here you have the same figure I did here. Okay, you have a saddle point, and here you have the homoclinic tendency. In fact, this one here is the same point as here. Okay, okay, just to understand the picture. Okay, so if you take a small box here, the red one, okay, and if you look at its iterates by the dynamics, you see that it will follow the stable manifold, and so it will go close to the saddle point. At some point, it will be close to the unstable manifold, and so it will go there, and it will come back and follow the unstable manifold close to the tangency here. Okay. So this is what happens for the unperturbed map. So now, what happens if we perturb the tangency here? Look. You see that the image of a rectangle at some point comes back to into itself and is contracting. So inside the small rectangle here, you have a sink. Okay? And this is a variation of this picture that we will use to produce a wandering domain. So what happens in a very heuristic way, of course. If we use not only one, but infinitely many tangencies, which are all associated to a sequence of distant dissipative periodic points, saddle points. In fact, we will get a wandering number. Let's see how this works.
Why is it clear that it's contracting?
Sorry?
Why is it clear that it's contracting?
Because you have both dissipation close to the saddle point, and you have the tangency. So you have the contraction in the two directions. It's quite boring to verify, but it's the case. So let's see what happens. Here, with two saddle points, you have, in fact, even three. You have a first tangency here, and the second one here. You take your small rectangle, your small box here, it goes back there, it goes back there, then it goes there, and so on. Now if you take another one, okay, so here you have a box, it goes back there. Here is the first saddle point, now it goes back to this tangency, it goes back there, and so on. And it never comes back to close to the same periodic point because we assume that it's not always the same. Okay? So, but you still have contraction at each step, so the dynamics is contracting, you're inside the Fatou set, but since we never come back close to the same saddle point, it's wandering. Okay? But you're going to ask me, is it always possible to get this configuration? In fact, the answer is it's difficult, in fact. So, in fact, the difficult part is to get this configuration, and to get this, we use we use the famous result of Newhouse, which says that we can always find a real polynomial automorphism which displays a hyperbolic compact set, also an infinite set, having persistent heteroclinic tangencies. So in fact, you have a hyperbolic compact set given here by the intersections between the red and the green curves. Okay. So the green curves gives you the stable lamination, the red one the unstable lamination, and at some point you have that it goes back there, and here you have a zone, you have a place where you have tangencies. And in fact, the result of Newhouse says you that you see you have a tendency here, but if you perturb your diffeomorphism, at some point you will have another tangency. And if you do again a perturbation, you will still have a tangency, and so on. Okay? And in fact, this is this result which allows us to produce this picture, because when we make the first perturbation, we will have a second tangency that we will perturb again, and so on. Okay? So this is where we can produce the infinite chain of nearly tangencies. Okay? Of course, as you might guess, I'm skipping many details. So in fact, the hard part of the proof lies in controlling the different gaps between the tangencies and the vertical curves. This is where the main difficulty lies, in fact. And this is also where the bound on the degree appears. Okay? This is where we need at least degree 6. Okay? So, in fact, with this picture, you can see how is the dynamics of wandering. Okay? So you have a tendency, then the dynamics goes back to the hyperbolic compact set, then it goes back again to a zone of tangency, and so on. For example, if I can draw a small picture here, you can take a small, let's say this is your wandering domain, okay? Then it will follow some stable manifold. Maybe it will go close to this point, which will be equal to this point. Then it will follow some unstable manifold. At some point, it will go back close to the tangency zone, the tangency place, and then it will follow another stable manifold until it goes close to a new saddle point. Then it will go follow its corresponding unstable manifold, and then it will go back inside the tangency zone, and there you will have a new stable manifold, and then it will go there, and so on. Okay, and so this is the proof of theorem A. Okay, and in fact, to prove theorem B, we have some combinatories inside the model, and we can control some part of the dynamics of the wandering domain. Okay, we have some control on. We can control the time the wandering domain spends close to some point of the hyperbolic set, and this is where the second part of the theorem is proved, because we can approximate any measures, any periodic measures, in fact, inside the horseshoe. So it remains only to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
An order of magnitude for the
Sorry?
for the limit log eta over log eta, is there some size or something?
No, we don't have control on this. We don't have control on the geometry. We don't know.
We know it's close to 1.
Close to 1?
It's close to, at least close to 1. And the main problem actually is, we know this because we know that there is an aberrant measure on the horseshoe, which have dimension close to 1. But it's not easy to have a dimension measure which have a dimension. No, like even 1 greater than 1. It's not even clear that if we have a wild horseshoe, does there exist an invariant measure which has we know it's close to 1 or not?
Sorry?
Not? Well, maybe, yes, we know that it's close to 1. Well, I guess it's close to 1. So I have to remember. But like there is this, like the problem of this order is related to the other dimension of some measure that we can find.
Close to 1.
I guess yes, well.
You have a set of parameters such that it works. You know that it's dense in some open set. Do you know something more? Do you know something about the other dimension, or if it's G delta or something like this?
We didn't manage to reach the G delta. And about the other dimension, maybe we didn't do this because it was too long, but maybe you can handle the proof and give some results. Because you already have results which give you the other dimension of the nearest phenomenon, right? So it's relative, so maybe you can make a trick to guess the other dimension of the wandering moments.
It's finite dimensional.
I didn't get where the dimension 2 appears in the proof.
Sorry?
I didn't get where you need the dimension 2.
Dimension 2?
Too complex. Yeah, too complex.
Oh. Simply because this phenomenon is the Earth phenomenon, you don't have it in one dimension. It's 2 dimensions.
So you don't have a moving dimension.
No,
Robust looking times.
no, you don't.
this historic, you define historical orbits, right? Or
Sorry?
you cannot have these objects in one dimension. Like historical, right? Or-
In dimension 1, like he mentioned the theorem of transcendental dynamics.
Not rational, yeah.
But rational, no, in dimension X. This is a Sullivan result.
But transcendental?
It's possible, he
It's
gave
possible.
he gave an example.
Example.
Sinus of X, sinus of the
This is yes, this is.
I mean, it's, well, it's, so there is this question of François about, can you, well, I don't know actually, for transcendental, like, there even this
Because
question
it
of
goes
François.
the
Yeah, it's go to the infinity, the sinus is not good. So like, this is not the question.
This is open. This is open.
Like,
In
very nice.
rational dynamics, it's false, but in
Transcendental.
transcendental, it's open.
It's open.
Other questions? Thanks again.
Thank you.
And I think the dinner is at 7.
Merci.
Non, parce qu'elle débute cette fois.
Six.